Well, I went way long-winded anyways, but I do want to finish out my thoughts. I don't even remember where I landed. I was talking so much about retail sales and nobody really cares about that. But I'm trying to show how it intertwines with the way, which really it doesn't. Um, that's basically where I'm at with it is I guess you try to lead by example, but that doesn't usually work. It is what it is. You just kind of go with the flow of where you're at. Um, you try to set the pace. You try to you try to find your pace in the pace that's being set. But that's kind of where I'm at with my life right now. So that's it. I've already basically destroyed everything I was trying to say. So getting the most important thing in retail structure for I've already did all that. Don't want to be a cartoon in a cartoon graveyard. I am going to sing tonight. I've been in a low mood, actually. But I am back to being a weekend warrior. I've had my first good momentum week. I don't know. I'm trying not to let my expectations get too high going into the weekend. It would be nice. I'm known for having big weekends. I'm known for like booming. But I haven't boomed since I've been with this company. I don't think I boomed once. Maybe once, but it's been kind of a struggle, I tell you. So what I can say, but I am improving. I see it already. And I've been doing some things slowly that I like that some of my ideas are being implemented and it's just kind of happening through a natural flow. I enjoy that instead of me initiating or putting any kind of presence into it. It's just kind of happening. What I have found is best practices. If you follow best practices, if you keep it simple, business builds. But what I've seen as managers, they are generally policy driven. That's why I think the manager format really isn't the right way to go about things. Truly. I think there might be better ways of figuring out because the way that managers are structured, they're policy driven. They don't typically they aren't what's interesting that I've found is the managers are usually not the ones that were best at the basics in following discipline and following through. They weren't the best in the situations that I've seen. They ended up having some good acclimates in certain areas that may or may not be beneficial to the business. But there's nothing new under the sun, is what I guess I'm trying to say. When you take yourself over as a manager and you're trying to actually improve your environment, or you're trying to be a good manager, really what you're doing is allowing things to work the way they're supposed to work. There's no such thing as a big idea. If you're doing anything, you're policy changing because you're trying to fix policies that were prior to you that are not the way that things should be. But you really want to be careful with that as well because that has negative effects. You are the manager of this that's been given to you. So what you see though is this ego-driven, this is the policy I put in, or this is the policy I pulled away to do this. And that is what is promoted as a good manager. But what that does is it creates things for people to say, I did this, and this is what happened. And that is usually not the best approach. And sometimes when you're showing the flag, it's of something that actually is, although you can show the numbers look this way, it actually negatively affects and can be logically deduced that it does, and shown in later numbers if wanted to do so. Trying to drive a number this way deflects the number going from the ultimate good of the sale. but it improves one way because of a percentage base, as opposed to what the numbers it really is the profit. Honestly, as a manager of a situation, especially if it's income driven or profit driven, which pretty much everything is, your job as a manager ultimately is to fulfill your duties as profitability to the people that have put you in charge to manage. So, I don't know. I don't know where I got lost. And what I was trying to say is this flagpole idea. I think that whenever you try to declare what you're and maybe that's what I'm doing with New Day to Start, which is wrong. Maybe I'm raising a flag of New Day to Start, and because that's the rabbit hole I started to get into before I destroyed this with all these different writings. At the very end of my morning this morning, my big idea is that flat. So then I got into, so there's a flag pole, which is permanent. That's just the way it is. You need to have a pole to identify points, probably. And then, but the flag that goes on that point is not actually identified as any, it's removable. The pole is permanent. The flag is not. That's where I was leading this with, because there's so many flags in our society and through the years and through our history. Anyways, that's where I was at. And then I got into my rabbit in me, my ears perked up, and I started thinking about flags and how important they are to nationality and all of that, and just impulses and your clans that you're putting your intent into. And that brought me back to family and what's in your home. But I'm not trying to go back to this loneliness thing. Some people, I don't think you need a family. I don't know where to land on that. I obviously don't need a family. Moment of silence. I don't know where to land on that. Do I need a family? It's something that we want, right? We don't need it. You need to be able to interact with other people, but you can be your own family, I think. And not, I mean, there's no reason to be sad about it. At least you know your family's good if it's yours, if you're the only one in it. I don't want to say that I don't have, and that's not to say that I won't have family in the future. I think what I'm trying to center on this is sometimes people live in the same home, probably, and don't feel like they're with their family. They're not, they're in, their home is in someone else's family. And that, maybe that's how I felt in different parts of my life. I don't know. Wow. I'm trying to do this because I've had people that committed suicide in my life, and I wonder why that happened. And I do think that not very many people could handle the lonely road that I went down. And maybe I can give some solace. But I got it from my mom, really. And pretty much my mom. So, I mean, that's, give credit to her, I guess, is really the best way I could say it. And she lost it. She lost her life at 64, was just so young. I think that's the biggest tragedy of my life, is that my mother, such a beautiful person, died at such a young age in such a tragic way. It was really sad for me. And I don't think I've ever recovered from it, honestly. I felt that was unjust, the way that she died according to life. And I felt like my daughters were deprived of a saint as a grandmother. And I feel betrayed by that, by life. I feel awful about it, honestly. And I've carried that for a long time too. There's nothing I can really do, and I can't. And then I'm not even in my kids' lives either, and I'm the closest thing there is to my mom, to them. That makes me sad too. And it's just the world we live in because of my failings. It makes me sad, honestly. It really does. That's what makes it so hard to keep moving. But that's what brought me to all of this, and finding that there's a center and that there's love always, regardless. And you can always find it, because you have to define love of what it is. It's the way. There's always hope. Have a great day out there. It's actually, I'm in an upbeat mood. I think my mom today would be proud of me. Hope everybody has a great day. Do great. Be grateful. Sorry for the long part 2. Part 1, part 2. I'm a mess. My cats are my family, though. I got this Bodie, and Sassy has really won my heart. Sassy's won my heart. This little cat with 4 socks. I wish I call her 4 socks more now than Sassy. She's putting her stop. Have a great day out there. Do great. Be grateful.